Hello and welcome back. This is episode 12 of my Chicago White Sox rebuild series, and we are on opening day of the 2029 season. Um, yeah, not too much to go over here. We were predicted to go 96 and 66 and win the division. I don't know if I have quite that optimistic of an outlook on our team, but given that we won the division last year, I think 90 games is a good target to shoot for. And hopefully that'll be good enough to win again this year. Um, I went over our opening day roster at the end of the last episode, so I'll just give some highlights here. Since a lot of returning guys from the end of last season, the biggest question marks for me, I guess, are Liam Peterson. Is he going to take that next step and kind of become the ace that we hope he can be? Um, he struggled across 7 starts in the big leagues last year. How will he adjust this year as our starting year as our number 5 starter? Will Jose Ferrer be a good closer for us after we traded for him? Bizarowski and Taylor, are they going to keep up what they've been doing uh, last year? And then on the batting side of things, we've got Billy Carlson now as our everyday shortstop to start the season. And is he someone that is ready to be an everyday shortstop? And is Aranaimo going to stick as like our utility guy? Um, will Luis Robert Jr. live up to the big free agent contract that we handed him in the off season? Um, a lot of question marks. Will Josh Naylor regress and kind of become dead weight here? As I hope he does not. But he was not great in the playoffs and in spring training. Um, so we'll see how he does to start the season. Um, and then we've got some top prospects: Max Bayless, Eric Becker, um, and a few others hanging out here. Our minor league system is 7th out of 30 overall, but Peterson's definitely the guy that is the biggest question mark for me. 2.5 star overall, but 5 star potential. Like, is he going to reach that full potential? He's the number 4 prospect in baseball right now. And then, some of our other draft picks, Ryan Sykes and Andy Bartolotta, both have lost a bit of their potential. Are they going to truly be just like average players, or will they kind of rediscover some of that potential and become the like everyday players that we hope they can be? Um, so I think that's basically um, you know where we are at to start the season. Um, I think we'll just have to get into it and start simming some games. We do have Matt Strom and Christopher Torn on the IL to start the year as well. How will those guys come back and fit into our lineups? We'll have to see. Um, but yeah, the goal for this year, we made the playoffs. We won a playoff series. I think the goal this year should be at least to make it to the ALCS and ideally be a World Series contender this year. I mean, there's no like superstar player on this team, but it's a pretty solid all around group. Um, if we look here, Billy Carlson again is the biggest question mark here, but everyone else, top 10, close to top 12 in their position, at least according to OSA. Yeah, we have a pretty well-rounded team that should compete, should be successful. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. Let's get into it here. Um, yeah, opening day for 2029. And I will give updates every, at the start of every month and the middle of every month. Probably won't do one for April 1st because it will just be, four or so games that we would have simmed. Um, but yeah, mid April, I'll probably check in with an update. And of course, if there's any big injuries or updates before then, I will likely pause and talk about those as well. So, um, yeah, let's get into it. 2029 season. Okay, so it is April 15th. Um, I'd say a mixed bag of results so far. Um, the good news is we are 10-6 and first place in the division, keeping pace with all the best teams in the league at the moment. Only the Giants have a better record than us, I would say, and I guess some of these teams are 10-4 or 10-5 instead of 10-6. So, um, yeah, half game ahead of us. But um, yeah, you also notice the Twins, Royals, and Tigers are all 9-7, just one game behind us. So it is looking like it's going to be a competitive division this year, um, at least early on. You know, half a month is not a very large sample size, but yeah. The bad news is we have more injuries already. Mizorowski, strained shoulder, out for 4 weeks. And then Billy Carlson, who we expected to be our everyday shortstop, strained forearm, out for 5 weeks. He just can't stay healthy with his fragile injury proneness. And in the 9 games he played, he wasn't particularly good either. So I'm not really sure what to do at the shortstop position right now. We no longer have Joey Ortiz to kind of fill in there right now. Oh, and we do have Luis Robert Jr. and Colson Montgomery with day-to-day injuries. I'm keeping them off the IL for now because they're only 3 days and 5 days respectively. But yeah, right now I have Montgomery filling in at shortstop where he's okay, but not exactly the defensive presence that we would like there. So, yeah, and we also called up Feldon Celestin to take the other roster spot, and he hasn't been super impressive across 3 games so far. So yeah, we'll see if any of those guys can pick it up. Overall, as we look at the pitching staff too, the pitching staff has been okay. The starters have gotten off to a little bit of a slow start. At least Schultz and Peterson have. Not too bad for Smith, Messick, and Dolander. The bullpen has been pretty good, with the exception of Ferrer. 6.75 ERA from your closer is not great, but again, only 5 innings pitched. Taylor and Walker have been doing well. Everyone else coming out of the pen, Raisel Iglesias is a little high too, but again, still early. I expect one bad result early on can kind of tank your ERA as a reliever. So we'll have to see. Yeah, in Ferrer's case, there were kind of 3 bad results here: 2 earned runs, 1 earned run, 1 earned run, and then the last 2 games he's been scoreless across just uh, 1/3 appearance, which is kind of a weird stat line, but as long as we're winning games, that's the main thing. You can see our starter ERA is 7th in the league right now, so about average. And then bullpen ERA is 2nd. Our batting WAR is 2nd. Doing pretty well in all offensive categories. Antonacci leading the way with .8 WAR so far, on pace for 7.7. We'll see if he actually keeps that pace up. Shanuel and Delauder also having good years. Aranaimo making the most of his opportunity to get everyday playing time with Carlson out and putting together a good season so far. Um, yeah, and then Josh Naylor, a little bit concerned about him. Nick Fortes putting up backup catcher numbers. I'm not too concerned about that. Luis Lara is another name to keep an eye on, as he is basically playing a lot of center field with Luis Robert Jr. injured for the next 3 days. Um, yeah, we'll have to see how the rest of April goes. I'm not gonna, panic and make a lot of moves early on, especially when we're in first place in the division still. So, Bayless doing okay, very high BABIP, so hopefully this ERA will come down a bit. Becker struggling so far at AAA, but again, only 14 games. We expect that will go up given his numbers last year. Um, could he be the answer maybe long term at shortstop? He would have a 60 rating when playing fully up to that potential with 65 range. And, again, that's better defensively than Montgomery, at least. I mean, ideally. But we've kind of cross trained him where he could play multiple positions. We just need that bat to keep developing. Same for Carlson, too. I mean, after he gets off the injured list, I'll probably have him rehab in AAA for a bit just to see, can he get that bat up a little bit more before playing again at the big league level. He just can't stay healthy. I mean, um, yeah, even this year, like before he went out with his forearm strain, he had two injuries, a sprained thumb, day-to-day injuries, but last year you can see, yeah, day-to-day for 1 week, day-to-day for 1 week, day-to-day for 3 days, out for 5 weeks. So it's a pattern with him, and it's not particularly a good one. But yeah, one thing to kind of keep an eye on, a trade I kind of explored making in the off season, in terms of like, okay, who's out there and who would make a good. Um, Dansby Swanson is on the trading block. That's interesting. Um, he's not technically on the trading block now, but he was earlier in the off season, and that is Mason Wynn for the Cardinals. And the Cardinals are 7-8 to start, so and Mason Wynn in the last year of his deal, so he'd be a pure expiring contract. But he would definitely fill in well at the shortstop position. He can field well, and he can hit well. So, depending on the cost, as they want something like Shanuel plus someone else for him, which is like, I don't know. Maybe I can swing this with a few higher prospects. Are there prospects that would they take like Carlson and someone else? I could play around with this a little bit. Again, it's only April. I'm not going to panic and make any moves yet, but it's something to keep in mind. Maybe explore a Dansby Swanson trade. He's got to be, down a bit in his numbers, I expect. Nearing the tail end of his contract. Oh, yeah, he was out. He was injured. Yeah, he put up just .5 WAR last year. Still a 60 overall at the shortstop. Has not played yet this season, but is in the last year of his contract. And like, what would it take to get him? And we'll have to play around with the numbers a bit. But okay, so it would cost less to get him, but we'd have to play around with that. Would still cost like Blake Larson, who I don't particularly want to give up yet. Yeah, anyway, just kind of thinking out loud here as we explore all of our options, but again, not panicking. It's only April and we are still first in the division. So let's keep rolling through April and we'll see how things go. Okay, it is May 1st, and yeah, we are 18 and 12. Um, Again, still not really sure what to think. We've got the Twins and the Tigers both breathing down our neck, just a half game behind us. And the Royals not too far behind at 15 and 15. But I mean, record wise, we're doing well. It's just this is a good division this year by, yeah, inexplicably, I would say. And if that isn't bad enough, the injuries just keep coming for us as Noah Schultz, shoulder inflammation, out for 4 weeks, and Nick Fortes, torn meniscus, out for 3 months, and Nolan Shanuel, hamstring strain, out for 3 weeks. So, um, we do get Mizorowski back in 1 to 2 weeks, but losing one of our starters is a blow for sure. Ryan Johnson stepping into the rotation after a good start in the pen, and he's had one good start for us so far, 6 innings and just one earned run. So we'll see if he sticks there. Parker Messick also had one really bad start, followed by, or a bad start followed by a really bad start, I would say. And his ERA has ballooned all the way to 6.23. I'm still keeping him in the rotation, but that's concerning for sure when your ERA is now over 6. Liam Peterson, we're giving a little bit of a leash to, especially since his last game was encouraging. No earned runs across 6 innings and just 3 hits allowed. So keep going, Liam. Yeah, and for our bats, we do have, if we sort by WAR, Chase DeLauder having a monster season so far, already equaling his WAR from all of last season in just the month of April. 1.4 WAR, on pace for a 7.8 WAR season. Now, will he keep that up the entire year? Probably not, but he's third in home runs. DeVries and Cal Raleigh are tied for first with 11. He's just one behind them. He's second in OPS. Yeah, he's doing great. He got batter of the month for April as well. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, even if he just is average the rest of the year, I think he will end up having a good season. So, in terms of injury fill-ins, we brought up Hagen Smith to either start or be in the pen, depending on how Ryan Johnson does. So far, it's looking like that's probably how it will stay, with Ryan Johnson starting and Smith in the pen. But we'll have to see. Smith was already on the 40-man as well. We do have 2 open spots on the 40-man right now, but trying to really think about how we want to use those, as a lot of these injuries, we do get Mizorowski back in 1 to 2 weeks, Shanuel in 3 weeks, Billy Carlson in 3 weeks. So not super long-term injuries, but still long enough. And one place where we did use a 40-man spot is on our backup catcher, a familiar face from last year, Luis Torrens. He was someone who I kept an eye on through the offseason. He initially wanted a multiple year, like $6 million deal, but was then willing to settle for a minor league contract with major league option. And sure enough, with an injury to our backup catcher here, he was our best performing catcher in AAA. So he is back in our major league roster. And we know from last year that he he's capable of filling in that role. I mean, he put up 2.3 WAR as a backup catcher last year, so hopefully he can repeat that again. That is the one long-term injury, as Fortes is out for 3 months. That means he'll be out June, July, August, until August or September. Yeah, so we definitely are glad to have him. I'm glad I signed him as a just kind of depth option in AAA. The other options are, you know, Caden Bodine, who is still young and struggling, Kadim Dia, who is like doing okay but doesn't have the best catcher ratings, Tyler Heron, which is like kind of a what are you even doing here kind of player. Um, yeah, he may get cut, honestly. Yeah, but team is still in first place, still doing well overall, despite all of the injuries, which, you know, a ton of injuries. We are definitely missing Rick Jameson as our trainer, as Manny Orala. Come on, man, you gotta help prevent some of these injuries. Um, um, Starter ERA up to ninth. Before Schultz went out, his ERA was also ballooning after a miserable start, where he just went 1 1/3 and gave up 8 earned runs. So that's something to keep an eye on too. I mean, he is supposedly a 3-star overall, 3-star potential guy that, you know, should be a really good pitcher. Maybe even our ace, but yeah, just not putting it together so far. Max Bayless is someone who is putting it together so far. His stuff ticked up in April, so that's encouraging. Um, Definitely a guy to keep an eye on, a guy we could see at the big league level this year. And Becker continues to struggle a bit. Negative WAR so far in AAA, to the point where I would almost consider sending him back down to AA, but I don't think that will be productive. I think we just let him stick through it here. We are having him play a new position, I guess, but that shouldn't affect his rating or his stats that much, I would think, since he's got a 60 overall at second base. I mean, he's putting together a negative ZR at second base, so maybe we swap him back to third and see if he can just rake there for some reason. Speaking of raking, though, someone who is surprisingly raking in AAA is Andy Bartolotta, who we are now going to try to cross-train at first base, just to give him more options here. Yeah, I mean, if he keeps this up, he may see big league time this season, as a, you know, injury fill-in backup kind of guy. I mean, we've needed a lot of those so far this season, so we'll have to see. Chris Levinas back from injury finally, which is encouraging, although his early results have not been encouraging. Still working his way back, though, so keeping an eye on him. Gunther Brandel doing quite well across 5 starts in AA. Another name to keep an eye on. Who else? Any big name prospects? Ryan Sykes, I guess, his potential has gone down, but still a high draft pick for us, still a highly ranked prospect for us, so we'll want to keep an eye on that. He's starting the year in AA, could see AAA if he keeps up this pretty good performance so far. I mean, OPS is below 100, but he's still putting up positive WAR and, yeah, ideally continuing to develop. Yeah, and we've got a bunch of like pitchers at the rookie level who are all really high potential. So we'll see. You know, chances are most of these guys won't work out, but DJ Hernandez, who was our big international free agent signing, is going to start in the Arizona complex and just skip DSL. I think his ratings are good enough to justify that. And Marquez was a seventh round pick. Still really raw. That control needs to get up, but potentially a interesting name to watch. Yeah, I don't really focus too much on guys that are like below A plus. I would say, other than to like promote them when they need to be promoted, just because a lot of those guys end up flaming out. So, um, you know, want to focus more on our guys that are close to big league ready, since we are a competing team, and those are the guys that will make the biggest difference for us this season. So, um, yeah, I don't think there's too much else to talk about. Oh, I talked about pitching subs. I didn't talk about. We also brought up Robert Kalaz, who had been doing well in AAA, and was already on the 40 man as well. So he's going to be our backup outfielder slash DH. Naylor moves to be our everyday first baseman, where he can play that decently enough. Um, yeah, Antonacci is the backup, and I think we're gonna have, you know, if for some reason we get to our third string first baseman, we're gonna start having Marte learn the position, just because he's 6'2" and has decent enough infield ratings where he should put up, good stats at first base. Um, and it's, as he's getting older. I mean, he's only 27 still, but it's another option for us to play him somewhere, I would say, as we kind of have a glut of outfielders at the moment. Yeah, Lantigua doing decently well. He's mainly only playing against left-handed pitching, but doing quite well against left-handed pitching. 157 OPS in 15 games started. And then, a little bit of stats against right-handed pitching, but for the most part, we're using him as a bat against lefties, and that seems to be where he's excelling so far. So, yeah, an interesting name to watch still. Um, I think we've about covered everything that I wanted to cover here in May. The next interesting thing, well, we'll do a mid-May check-in. The ACL season will be starting, so keep an eye on those guys. And then the first year draft combine was at the beginning of June, so still a ways away from that. And then June will also be when we start to maybe think about making some trades. I mean, we should be a competing team this year. We will be buyers. Is someone like Mason Wynn possible to pry away from the Cardinals without giving up too much? I think that's our biggest hole at the moment. If you look at at least position rankings, shortstop is definitely a need for us. We have guys that can kind of rotate in there and do a decent enough job, as Torrin is back from injury and currently is our everyday shortstop. But ideally, we'd like to use him as more of a utility infielder kind of guy. Yeah, we'll have to see if, maybe they'd even take Torrin for Win, Torrin and some other prospects. I would have to see, what kind of makes sense in a trade for Win. He's definitely a guy I'm keeping my eye on, though. Yeah, I very curious to see, if we put him at 95. Let's do this live on camera. Why not? Torrin and 95. They're still not interested. Josh Naylor. No. What about Grant Taylor? Yeah, they want a lot for Mason Wynn, which makes sense. He's a good player, but it's not a trade I really want to make. Giving up like DJ Hernandez or Eric Becker, like those are names that I do not want to give up. Maybe we explore like a Dansby Swanson trade instead. A guy that can be gotten for cheaper, or if there's other interesting shortstop names on the market. Yeah, we'll have to see. Oh yeah, Starlin Caba. He was. I mean, he's an interesting name, but he's only 23, and the odds that they would actually trade him are low. Yeah, they won't even take Grant Taylor for him straight up. So, okay. Um, I'll keep poking around here and see if there's a shortstop trade that makes sense, maybe. But possibly we wait until June to make any moves. Just trying to keep that in my mind as we move through the month of May here. May 15th here, and yeah, I mean, you can see the AL Central remains competitive. Competitive is an understatement, I would say. We are currently in a three-way tie for first with the Royals and the Twins, with the Tigers just a half game behind us. Um, yeah, this division is going to be a dogfight this year. Thankfully, we have Chase DeLauder still absolutely raking, third in WAR in the entire AL at 2.2. Trying to get him, keep him going with an OPS over 1,000, and yeah, hopefully he keeps that up. I mean, that's an outstanding season so far. Second in home runs. Leo DeVries is having an MVP caliber season so far, though. So that's kind of the competition, I guess, is the A's. The A's actually below 500 despite DeVries having a great season. Riley Green also having a very good season for the Tigers, unfortunately, as he is in our division. Yeah, and it wouldn't be a update without yet another injury. Eric Miller out with a torn back muscle for 4 months. So we do get Mizorowski back. He's rehabbing in AAA. We have him rehabbing as a starter just because, I don't know, that's how the CPU assigned him when I put him to rehab in AAA. And usually, if I have the choice to like rehab bullpen guys as a starter, like if they automatically go that way, I usually let them do that because that's if they rehab as a rehab or relief pitcher, they usually only get a few innings of work. Rehabbing as a starter gets them some guaranteed innings of work, but Mizorowski, I think, still has some rest to work off with the 9.64 ERA, so we'll let him make one more start in the minors before bringing him back up. Christian Opor, former top prospect for us, has kind of just hung around in the minors, not really doing much, but was putting up good numbers at AAA and was already on the 40-man roster. So he is up at the big league level. A name to watch out for, though, is Takoa Roby, putting up excellent numbers at AAA so far this season. Already close to 2 WAR on the season across 7 starts. ERA under 3, which for the International League is incredibly good. Yeah, he probably deserves a shot at the big league level somewhere. And Max Bayless has been hot recently as well. His last game, very promising. 8 innings, 0 earned runs, and just 3 hits allowed on 98 pitches. So we've got some interesting decisions to make here as our starters have really struggled to start the season. We are now down to 13th in starter ERA, but first in bullpen ERA. So our bullpen really carrying our pitching staff at the moment. You can see everyone in the bullpen with an ERA under 4. That's quite good. And almost all of our starters have an ERA over 4. That is quite bad. So, yeah, what do we do here? Because we're now at the point where I think making moves to like adjust our rotation isn't an overreaction. I mean, 10 games started for Shane Smith, and he's got an ERA over 5. Again, Liam Peterson, I'm going to give a little bit more of a leash just because he should theoretically be improving. His last outing was good as well. Dollander still solid. He's actually been probably our best pitcher outside of Ryan Johnson, who's only made 2 starts, but still keeping that ERA down, still putting in quality starts. So we will leave him be. But then Smith and Messick, and then also Schultz once he's back from injury. I'm not quite sure how I want to handle that. We could look to slot in Hagen Smith, as he's done quite well in relief so far. We could bring up Bayless or Roby to try and take some of those starts. I just don't know. And that would involve shuffling our bullpen around too. And man, difficult decisions after our pitching staff was excellent last year, and a lot of these guys got rewarded with extensions, if you recall. Smith, everyone but Schultz, basically. Smith, Dollander, Messick, all extended through, 2032, really. The last 2 years being team options, like, we'll see. But I think we have to do something to shuffle this around, because right now the pitching staff just isn't cutting it, at least from a starting pitching perspective, and the FIP doesn't look much better than the ERAs here, as all of them have a FIP over 4 and 3 have a FIP over 5. So it's not like they've been getting unlucky. It's just been not good. So Messick and Smith are on watch, and we maybe look to shuffle things around here. Batting wise, I'm also still kind of eyeing, what do we do for various positions. Josh Naylor has struggled putting up negative WAR as a DH/first baseman so far. We still do have him under contract for one more season, although it's only for like $3 million, I think, as we thankfully did have them retain most of his salary. $2.8 million. So if we have to trade or like bench or cut him, like, it's not the end of the world, but again, like, the AAA replacements, I'm not 100% sure about. We're trying to cross-train these guys. Andy Bartolotta continuing to put up good offensive numbers. Felton and Celestin, we're cross-training at second base, where he's actually got 3-star potential at second base, interestingly enough. And he was starting to put things together at the big league level when we sent him back down as well. So Dante Nori has 1 WAR so far on the season. He could be a name to watch. Edgar Caro actually starting things off well. I've been fooled by him before, though. If you notice his AAA numbers versus his MLB numbers, I mean, he just hasn't put it together at the big league level yet. So what do we do here? That is the question. This is a team that is competing for a division win and ideally competing for a World Series. So we may, you know, need to swing for the fences and go for a trade here that helps us. Do we trade for starting pitching? Um, are there good starting pitchers out there that could help us? Seiya Suzuki is still out here. Our outfield is relatively fine, I would say. DeLauder is putting up good numbers. Luis Robert Jr., not quite the pace that he was on last year, but still putting up very good numbers. And back up to 3-star overall, which I definitely like to see after he, dropped down a bit before. And his fielding not quite at the elite level that it was, but the bat is making up for it so far. So, and then Marte, he's again not quite putting up the numbers that I would have hoped, but not bad by any means. He's probably a guy that will look to just re-sign in arbitration next year and then let him test free agency. So like long term, we might need an answer in the outfield, but that's still a year or two away. So yeah, I'll have to just look around. I think this is a team where we need something. We could go for a starting pitcher. Would Casey Mize move the needle necessarily? He's playing for the Rockies. He's got a 5.4 ERA and is wrecked, which I don't love. Mason Moore. Takoa Roby is still on the... yeah, I think I need to clear our trading block. I think probably the smart thing to do would be to promote from within first and then see kind of how those guys slot in, how they fit at the big league level, and then try to fill in any gaps with trades in June or July. I think that makes the most sense. Kind of give some guys in our minor leagues a shot to make an impact at the big league level. Yeah, as we've got potentially slots to open up for them, and we've got slots in the 40 man. So, Gabe Davis. Okay. He might be someone that I look to just toss on the 60-day IL just to open up a spot. As he's 25 years old. This is when it gets difficult, where you're kind of in that in-between zone of like, I don't have superstars that are really going to like carry our team, but I also like don't want to trade away top prospects for them for a rental like Mason Wynn, and then I don't, our money situation is not amazing where like I don't have room to re-sign a lot of these guys if I traded for them. So so what do we do? I mean, Shanuel's hurt for 1 to 2 weeks. That definitely hurts us. Some of these injuries for sure are hurting our team production. Yeah, we're going to make some kind of moves here. I'll show that. So we may get an update before May 30th. But for now, I'm going to, I guess, let things go and see what other moves need to be made. But if I make any major moves, we get guys back from injury, I will let you know. It is June 1st, and we are still sitting in first place, despite dipping down to second a little bit throughout May. We do have a 2 game lead over the Royals now. Tigers and Twins have fallen off a little bit, but still not too far behind. Yeah, Chase DeLauder continuing his onslaught as he has 3.8 WAR on the season. If you look at our team, totals, we have 9.1 WAR, batting WAR currently, and so over a third of that is solely from him. He's having an MVP caliber season, which is not what I expected from him at all. So, good for him. I am very pleasantly surprised. Without him, I don't think we'd be in this position. Everyone else has been doing okay. We did make a move. Josh Naylor continued to struggle for us. He was at negative .5 WAR for the season. So we made a trade with the Reds. He is continuing to struggle for them, but we flipped him and a minor league pitcher who's also struggling for them for Adrian Herrera, who looks quite solid. It could be a starter as well. Was hurt and fragile is the only knock against him, and the fact, I guess, that he's 24 years old. But the fact that we could get positive value back for Naylor is good. We also got Ricky Cabrera back, basically as depth. We've continued to kind of shuffle guys around the infield, trying to find the best combination of guys that works there. I don't think for the first time in any of these updates we have an injury update. Pleasantly surprised at that. Lantigua is day to day with a minimal bruised foot. He's going to stay off the IL though, since it's just a 1 week injury. Pitching, Noah Schultz back from injury. Not really sure what to think of him yet. He had one good start in AAA when rehabbing, so I did decide to move him back up to the big league roster. But across those 6 starts, it was some ugly starts in there. So he's going to start out of the pen, may move back to our rotation. You'll notice our rotation has kind of settled down a little bit, with one exception. Parker Messick did have options left and had another disastrous start in there. You can see his ERA was up to 6.2 across 10 starts, so he has options. He's going to go to AAA to try to figure stuff out there. Nolan Shanuel, literally as I pressed the button to sim to today, is finally back from his injury that he suffered, back in April. So he missed the entire month of May, with what was supposed to be a, I think, 3-week injury. So we will definitely be glad to have him back. Mizorowski is back and pitching well. Hagen Smith has made a few starts for us and is scheduled to make the start today. I guess he's only made one start for us, but it was a good start. So we'll see how he does in that 5th starter spot. We may swap Schultz back in. Johnson has kind of solidified himself as a solid option there. Peterson continuing to struggle a little bit, but numbers are good overall, I would say, for a guy who's 23 and in his first real big league season. Dollander dipped under 4. We like to see that. Smith's ERA is starting to come down a bit. He did have a little bit of a shaky start against Texas, but keeping an eye on that. So all in all, pitching in a pretty good spot. Schultz is a question mark, but everyone else in a pretty good spot. I did at some point, I don't know if I mentioned this on camera, swap Ryan Walker and Jose Ferrer. And I'll probably stick with that, as Ferrer has been a little up and down throughout the season. Yeah, uh, Raisel Iglesias too. Like his FIP suggests that regression is coming, but he's pitching well ultimately with a 2.14 ERA. So we'll see if that regression actually hits or not. Mizorowski and Taylor, we'll see if they can kind of carry our bullpen again, as Taylor already off to another good start this season, despite pitching less innings than last year, at least on pace to pitch less innings. His stamina is back up to 40. Interesting. It keeps flip flopping. It went down from 40 to 35, and now it's back up from 35 to 40. So, yeah, maybe we'll swap that and have him pitch the seventh and close games, since he is doing well. Our bats, I'm going to keep shuffling guys around, keep trying to find a combination that works, and it is June, so we may look to make a trade here. I still don't know. Billy Carlson, back from injury. I let him play a bit at AAA where he was putting up good numbers. So we'll see how he does at the big league level. This is his first taste of big league action since his injury. So he will be our everyday shortstop against righties, with Torin rotating in against lefties. Torin's bat is just better and against lefties, and he has been solid but not spectacular so far. Aranaimo kind of fell back to earth. Negative .3 WAR. He was still hitting well against lefties, so he may see some more time at the big league level because of that. But for now, he's back down at AAA. We did call up Andy Bartolotta, who was continuing to do well at AAA, to kind of fill in that first base spot while we were waiting for Shanuel to come back. So I don't know. Lara has not been doing great so far this season. Bartolotta, I would like to keep playing every day. So for sure, one of those guys will get sent down when Shanuel is ready to come back from rehab. And that'll probably only be a start or two. But I'm not sure what to do for that other spot. I could look to call like Conrad up maybe, or Celestin. An interesting option though. I mean, Eric Becker is really struggling in AAA, but he's also very unhappy that he's not playing in the major leagues right now, and I wonder if it's worth giving him a shot, just to at the very least improve his morale. He is a guy that we're gonna throw on the 40-man eventually, because he's in his last year before he's Rule 5 eligible, and I definitely, with his potential, don't want to expose him to the Rule 5 draft. So I don't know. But at the same time, I don't know. I want him still playing every day to continue to build up that potential. So we'll see. Jay Allen II is back up from AAA after putting up good numbers there. He's going to leapfrog Lara and be our backup outfielder. So between Bartolotta and Lara, one of those guys will go down. I haven't decided who yet. They both still have options. Obviously, Lara has 2 option years left, and Bartolotta, this is his first taste of the big league, so he definitely has options left. Probably Bartolotta goes back down to continue playing every day, but we kind of have a log jam of guys at the AAA level too, between Celestin, and then guys like Balcazar and Bergola, Aranaimo, Becker. Um, that's part of why I was giving Bartolota some time at first base, because that's kind of an area where we don't have a lot of depth at the moment, especially after trading away Josh Naylor, who honestly wasn't doing well enough to stick there anyway. But Nolan Schanuel is our everyday first baseman, so it's not, a dire need. But we'll have to see. We could look to trade for a DH maybe. Still kind of question marks in the infield. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see what trades kind of would benefit this team the most, and try to make trades that are smart trades, like not giving up. I don't really want to give up our top prospects, but it's hard to, get impactful guys without giving up some of those top prospects. I could look to flip someone like Maddox Moloney, who was a fifth round pick, but has started to, his potential went up to 3 stars, but he is 24, pushing 25. Like, how much more is he actually going to develop? I don't know. Yeah, so we could look to flip him for someone. Chris Levinas, struggling, but still only 23. Gunther Braindle, again, getting close to 25, but putting up good numbers at AA and could see a promotion soon. So, with pitchers, it does sometimes take them a little bit longer to develop. So I'm giving them a little bit more of a leash. Shout out to Bill Malia, second round pick in 2028 last year, putting up good numbers in A ball, so he's up to A plus and could see a promotion to AA before the year is done if he keeps up what he's been doing, at just 19 years old. So definitely a guy to watch. Taubman is potentially a guy to watch. Shepherdson, struggling at A plus so far, but good potential still. So, yeah, we're kind of still in that weird in between zone where, we aren't blowing the doors off the division, but we are in first place. I still feel like we need to make some kind of move. I mean, we made the move with the Reds to get rid of Josh Naylor, but that wasn't really a win now move. That was more of a depth move, I guess. Yeah, we need more impact bats, maybe another starting pitcher. Our bullpen's in pretty decent shape, actually. That's usually what you go for at the deadline, but our bullpen's in pretty good shape. We need a starter, we need an impact bat, and I don't know where we're going to get those exactly. Mason Wynn, not really an impact bat, more just a good all-around shortstop. The Cubs have turned things on, and despite Swanson not really doing much so far, like, I don't really see a need to trade for him. Pedro Ramirez is a guy that is kind of interesting. Man, yeah, I don't know who's out there. I'll have to look around a bit and see. The trading block is pretty barren at the moment, but it should start to fill up as we get into June here, as teams start to decide whether they're buyers or sellers. A lot of kind of middle of the road teams at the moment. If you look at the wild card race, there's a lot of teams like at or around 500 in both leagues. Yeah, so we'll have to see who we target. who makes sense. Like the Rangers aren't going to trade Wyatt Langford, and I don't know if we would want to trade for him anyway with that contract. Walcott, they aren't going to trade, most likely. At 23 years old, yeah, he's pretty much untouchable, I think, given how the CPU values guys. Corey Seager has 3 injuries, man, but was having a good season before that. But is signed through 2031, man. He would be a guy that would be interesting to trade for, although his defense at shortstop leaves something to be desired. All right, I'll have to keep looking off camera here. And next up will be the draft combine. Yeah, we'll go over that in a few days here. All right, June 7th. Not too much has changed since the last update here. Still have a few metaphorical irons in the fire as far as trades go. I'm looking at possibly Brooks Lee from the Rays can be had for a decent price. It would cost probably a mid-tier prospect to get him. And who else was I looking at? The Rangers didn't really have anyone that if I wanted to absolutely sell the farm, I think they would take what was it? Hernandez and Becker for Sebastian Walcott, who, I've seen him become quite good in various sims. Here he looks good, but I don't know if he's going to be elite level. And we've got, Becker, who's kind of on the verge of, I don't know. He's really struggling in AAA, but his ratings are close to playable at big league ball. I just don't know what to think of him. And then DJ Hernandez, obviously still very young and raw and putting up good numbers at Arizona level, but still a ways away. So, is that trade worth it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone else I was really looking at. Anyway, the first year draft combine is today. We are picking 31st in the draft So yeah, not a lot of choices in who we can really go after. I'm not letting myself fall in love with any prospects necessarily. The one player I do kind of have my eye on at our pick is Sean Bender, who looks really solid, and is not projected to go super high. 2.5 star overall. That's OSA and our scout has that rating, and then 4.5 star potential. He looks like he could be a very solid starter, maybe even an elite starter if he gets good TCR. Could start definitely at AA, maybe even AAA. And if we look at the draft, the mock draft, where was he expected to go? 28. So just a few picks before us. If things fall the right way, he could definitely fall to our pick. There's also a lot of really solid batters, I would say. Jay Bastian, Zach Carter, Um, a lot of college age guys. Eric Leary. I mean, the last two drafts have so far not really worked out when I've drafted those guys. Um, you know, they're higher floor, lower ceiling guys, right? And so far they've been more floor than ceiling between Bartolota and um, where did he go? Ryan Sykes. There we go. Which, yeah, he's still hanging out at Double A. Maybe deserves a promotion sometime in the near future. Yeah, you know what? His ratings are pretty solid. I think on the 15th I'll probably move him up. Yeah, so at 31, there's only so much we can do in terms of um, who we have available to draft. My strategy is always um, find guys that I like and then take anyone out that is in the top half of the draft, basically. Guys that are very likely to not fall to us. I made an exception for Mike Page just because he also looks pretty solid with 2.5 star overall, 4 star potential. And if he does somehow fall to us, I want to have him as scouted as possible. So, um, yeah, and he's right on the cusp there where, he's picked 20 in a 39 pick first round. So, right on the cusp of halfway through. There's a lot of comp picks this year. The Royals, the Reds, the Padres picked 2 in a row. The Cardinals, um, the Yankees and D-backs and Giants before us. Yeah, so we'll have to see who ends up falling to us in the draft. That's still a ways away. Um, we are still first place in the division, up by 2 games. Um, I did end up sending down Bartolota for Shanuel when he came back. So far, so good when it comes to that. Not good is that Jay Allen has been injury pending for several days now, which probably means a long-term injury for him. Um, so I guess I made the right decision not sending Lara down because he'll probably have to stick and play our backup outfielder, although that may give an opportunity to some guys like Dante Nori, who's having a solid year in AAA. Um, Ethan Conrad is doing well. Munoz, I believe, is doing well. Yeah, he's doing very well. So maybe we bring one of those guys up and give him opportunities over Lara. We do have slots on the 40-man, and we might have one more if Allen ends up going out to long-term injury. So let's see what happens here. Let's make our way through the draft combine, and yeah, I'll do a full update on the 15th here on where we stand. All right, so it is June 15th, and yeah, we are still neck and neck, tied for first place with the Royals. They have the tiebreaker against us right now, I believe. Um, yeah, KC, uh, Chicago. Well, they're 1-2. Maybe I'm reading that incorrectly. Chicago. Yeah, okay. I think Chicago is 1-2 against KC. I think that is, yeah, how we read that. I believe we did drop 2 of 3 in a series earlier, so that makes sense. Yeah, here we go. Loss at KC, KC win at KC. So they have the head-to-head tiebreaker against us currently. We need to make a move to try to shake things up. I mean, and I think I found a decent one here. This is not exactly a blockbuster trade, but it's not a small trade either. So we'll see how this goes. We're giving up Leonardo Felix, who's a decent looking Dominican prospect. Trey Gregory Alford, he's a guy we snatched off of waivers, but again, a decent looking prospect, only 23 years old at Double A. And Aranaimo, I mean, we've talked about him already this year. He's, you know, 25 years old, and now we're dealing with, trying to shuffle infielders around. And then Will Benson, who's minor league depth, basically. He could play at the big league level, potentially. I mean, he put up 2.1 WAR last year for Cincinnati. So potentially getting a good player there. To the Braves, who are rebuilding, for Adele Amador. His defense is a little suspect. He has not played well so far this year, but if you look at the last two seasons, 2 WAR and 4.7 WAR, and fairly cheap, fairly young. I don't know. I feel like this is a decent buy low guy who can maybe turn things around in the second half of the year with a change of scenery. We're giving up a decent amount to get him. We're also getting J.R. Ritchie, who looks like a pretty good / decent reliever. Could maybe make some spot starts. Is 25 years old, so yeah, sub 2 ERA, close to 1 across 17 innings pitched. Maybe there's some luck involved there. BABIP's pretty low, but basically he's a throw-in in this trade to get Amador. Yeah, I want to try something, and I don't want to, sell the farm to do it. I did explore some other trades. I will go ahead and complete this one, and we'll see how things go. But if you look at here, this is basically what it would take to get Mason Wynn. Marte, who's someone that I would think about trading. He's been a little below what he did last year. I mean, since coming to us, he hasn't had the same offensive presence that he did in Cincinnati. On track to put up 1.6 WAR on the season, which is not bad, but we're paying him $13 million this year. Arbitration next year, he's making $18.5 million. So I don't know if we want to pick that up. And then some of the guys that we just traded: Trey Gregory Alford, Bartolota, Aranaimo, Luis Lara, and probably out of this group, someone like Bayless or Frankiel or Larson. Just a ton of guys to get Mason Wynn. I mean, Mason Wynn is probably a better player than Amador, but he's also making more money. We also get team control with Amador if he does, come back. Oh no, he's a free agent. But he's way cheaper. He's a way cheaper free agent. And budget is definitely something that we have to keep in mind. Either they eat a ton of salary and then it costs even more to get him, or we have to pay. Right now we're kind of borderline with only $5 million available. Like, I don't know. It's questionable. So Amador is the guy for now. Also, All-Star voting. I should mention that. We've got several guys in the running for All-Star spots. Sam Antonacci, third in voting for second baseman. Colson Montgomery, second in voting for third baseman. Chase DeLauder, first for left fielders. I'd say deservedly so. Luis Robert Jr., second for center fielders. And Marte, somehow third for right fielders. I'll take it. No one for starting pitching, but 2 relievers, Grant Taylor and Brendan Little. who's had a great ERA so far this season. He was a guy that we claimed off of waivers, remember? So definitely a good pickup there. Uh, yeah, and I think several of those guys have a real shot to make the All Star game. So we'll see. As I believe Lara will get sent down to make room for Amador on the 26-man roster. Richie, I'm probably going to see if I can pass through waivers, maybe throw him on there and option him. Does he have options? It is his last option year, so we'll see what happens with him. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think too much has changed since the last update in terms of player stats. Shane Smith continuing to put up okay but not great numbers. Actually, I would just say straight up not great numbers. Same for Liam Peterson. We're giving him, again, a little bit longer leash so that he can try to, keep progressing. And actually, I can see that, yeah, his control went from 40 to 45. I think some of these ratings have gone up to a 45 when they were previously a 40. So watching that, Hagen Smith currently in the 5th spot. Noah Schultz may take that over depending on how he does. And then, yeah, DeLauder, obviously the best offensive presence on this team, although Robert's been hot recently. Kyle Teal playing well. Luis Torrens playing well and getting a little bit more playing time. He wants to be our starting catcher. He's not going to start over Kyle Teal, but he's going to get a little more playing time given that, especially against righties, he's hitting 118, which is actually better than Kyle Teal. So I think I have him starting every 4th game, and then he's starting every 3rd, or starting against lefties with Kyle Teal coming in every 3rd game because, yeah, definitely not his forte, I would say. So, yeah, that's kind of where we stand at the middle of June. Hopefully this trade will make a difference. I'll have to figure out how we want to structure our lineup. I think... Do I want Amador to be our everyday shortstop or second baseman? I think shortstop with the 60 range. I'll have to see. What does Montgomery have? 60 range. Okay. 55. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be a great fielding shortstop. We just hope that his bat kind of turns around and does what it did in 2027 and 2028. Yeah, I mean, he could even play some outfield potentially. But, yeah, buy low guy. Let's see if he can help us win some more games here as we are in a tight race for the division currently. All right, it is July 1st, and we are 48 and 36, still in first place in the division, now with a slightly comfortable lead over the Royals, 4.5 games. Yeah, Chase DeLauder starting to come back to earth a little bit, but still has an OPS over 1,000, 3.7 WAR on the season. He's now doubled his output from the previous 2 seasons, so more than doubled. Yeah, just a really pleasantly surprising outlier year for him. Yeah, he's top 3 in batting average, RBI, and OPS in the AL. Chase Dolander also having a good year. 2.99 ERA and on pace for 2.6 regular WAR and has currently 3.0 RA9 WAR. So, yeah, great season for those 2 guys for sure. Also wanted to point out Ohtani doing Ohtani things. On pace for 60 home runs this year. Curiously, they aren't having him pitching right now. despite him starting the year pitching and pitching quite well. So, I mean, he is day to day right now with a bicep tendon, so that's probably why. But yeah, I mean, he's on pace for 60 home runs. I just thought I'd shout that out. There's another Japanese player that's kind of the guy that we thought Murakami would be, who's also on pace for 60 home runs, playing for the Padres. And speaking of Murakami, since I know you White Sox fans out there are probably curious, what happened to him after we traded him? Well, he was mediocre for Milwaukee, had a mediocre season last year for Philly, and then was finally starting to put things together a bit this year. 20 home runs, on pace for 3.2 WAR, and then had a foot injury. So we'll see if that derails his season at all. Definitely hoping that he kind of puts things together and does well. Um, I want to see him succeed as a former White Sox, at least, unless he is playing against us. But on the Phillies, he's not going to be doing that too often. So, mostly wishing him success. Um, yeah, let's look at our team ranks. Batting wise, we're top three in most batting categories. I mean, it's very solid batting lineup, I would say. Um, Luis Robert Jr. having another good year, on pace for 5 WAR. Kyle Teal having a good season, already surpassed his WAR from the last 2 seasons. Um, Colson Montgomery, very solid. Nolan Shanuel, despite the injury, having a very solid season. Um, yeah, his stats have come across just 53 games played compared to the 60 or 70 of other players. Um, and Marte, Marte is still he's putting things together a little bit more, and um, yeah, he's still a guy that I would maybe consider flipping at the trade deadline, just because I'm worried about that really high arbitration cost next year. But we'll have to see. And then our so far big trade deadline acquisition or trade acquisition, Adele Amador, rewarding our faith in him on a new team with a 169 OPS plus since joining our team, and point .7 WAR. He had negative point .3 WAR before joining our team, and has point .7 WAR across just 13 games for us. So very, very good so far. He probably doesn't keep that up for the entire season, but if he stays above 100 OPS for the rest of the season and puts up a solid like 1 to 2 WAR, we will definitely take that. Even with subpar defense at shortstop, I would say. Um, yeah, and the pitching um, has remained about the same. Still ninth in starter ERA, first in bullpen ERA. Mizurowski and Taylor both having excellent seasons again. Walker doing well in the closer role. Ferrer settling in a bit in the setup role. Our entire bullpen has an ERA under 3, except for Hagen Smith. That's, yeah, you can't ask for much better. Um, Dolander I already highlighted. Ryan Johnson has been solid across 11 starts and 20 games for us. He's been a very pleasant surprise filling in our rotation. Shane Smith has brought his ERA down a bit to reasonable levels. Um, Liam Peterson still very slowly, his ERA is coming down. Very slowly, I think he's continuing to improve. We will again continue to give him a long leash as our 4th or 5th starter. And Noah Schultz is one guy that I'm still slightly concerned about. His I had him coming back from injury, coming out of the pen, just to kind of work him back in. Um, was really good out of the pen. Only had one game where he gave up 2 earned runs. And then in his last start back, 3 earned runs across 4 innings. So not a bad start by any means, but definitely someone that we will be keeping an eye on. We know from the past few seasons that he's capable of putting up much better numbers than that. So, again, we'll probably give him a little bit of leeway to try and figure things out as he returns from injury. But it's hard to do that when our AAA team has several guys in Max Bayless, 2.4 WAR on the season, ERA approaching 3 in AAA. The skills I think are not, or the ratings are not quite where I'd like him to be for him to be a full time big league starter, but the chances are high and rising. I would say that he gets big league time before the end of the season. Adrian Herrera, who we flipped Josh Naylor for to the Reds, back from injury and doing a rehab start where he is also across 4 games started for us with a sub 4 ERA, .7 WAR. Fragile injury proneness and the ratings give me a little bit of pause, but he's another guy that could potentially start games or appear out of the bullpen for us. And in fact, once his rehab finishes, I'll have to figure out, how to shuffle that around a bit. And also shout out to Koa Roby, who is leading our team in WAR. He's now coming out of the pen because of the appearance of J.R. Ritchie, who is putting up solid numbers so far in AAA after he was the other piece of that Atlanta trade for Adael Amador. We were able to pass him through waivers and stash him in AAA. But Tekoa Roby currently leading our team in WAR and it has a sub 3 ERA, so he might be the next man up if there's an injury out of the pen or in our rotation even. So 3 guys at the top here. And I didn't even touch on, guys like Felix Arande, who's having a perfectly fine season at AAA, could fill in if necessary. Blake Larson is starting to put things together at the AAA level, could see big league action. Trevor McDonald, age 28, but having a good AAA and AA season. So yeah, our pitching depth is really good. We just need to keep an eye on that last starter spot and hopefully bring that starter ERA down a bit. We're 8th and 5th, 6th in pitching WAR. Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. Injury wise, Antonacci had a day-to-day injury, but it was a concussion, a substantial injury. And with the other day-to-day injuries that were present at the time, I think we had one on Montgomery and one on Robert Jr. again, or for sure one on Montgomery. I put him on the IL just to free up that roster slot and not force guys to play injured. I did bring up Eric Becker. I'm just curious to see what he can do at the big league level. Trying to bring his morale up too. He's still very unhappy for some reason. I do have him starting instead of coming off the bench. I don't know if that's why he's unhappy. And I know this is probably not how you treat a top prospect typically, starting their big league clock in the middle of June and July. But yeah, his morale was suffering a lot at AAA, and I think that was probably affecting his performance. So I was hoping that a brief big league stint would bring that back up, and then I could send him down, and maybe that would translate to some more performance at AAA, but I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. He will most likely be getting sent down when Antonacci returns. Yeah, the next thing that's up is the first year player draft. And I think if I remember to do this, I'm taking a trip here in real life, so it'll be several real life days before I get back to this sim. But what I'd like to do is I've been recording these like well ahead of time. I think I'm should hopefully post episode 6 soon, so you know like how far ahead I am in terms of recording. I'm gonna try to shrink that gap a bit and post more. I just like playing more than editing and posting. Um, but this series has gotten a decent amount of traction, I'd say, more than my other series did, in terms of views and comments, people engaging with this, like really enjoying it. So I'm going to try to shrink that gap so that I can kind of respond more in real time to some of the comments and suggestions that people are making. But one thing I'd like to do before the next draft is go back and look at, now that we're a few years in, some of the guys that I considered taking in past drafts and see kind of how they're doing so far across the various minor leagues or big leagues, even. I mean, we've been in this sim now for 3 years. I don't even, it's hard to remember at this point, like, who I was debating taking with each pick. Um, you know, I have been really happy with Liam Peterson so far when we took him first overall in 2026. But it'll be really interesting to see, like, I mean, we can do that one right now because obviously we know who we took first overall in 2026. And except I always have trouble finding the draft log. Team history. There is a draft history somewhere. Here we go. League history, reports and info. Draft pool. History. 2026. Okay, so let's look at all players and see overall who is the best player from the draft. I know Roke Cholowski, he was a guy that was expected to go highly. He went fourth overall, currently in AAA for San Francisco and doing quite well, developing well at age 24. And we've got Ryan Lynch. So far, the only guys at the MLB level that are top prospects. Ryan Lynch is one. He was a fourth round pick, doing okay for the Orioles. And Jackson Flora for Atlanta, doing quite well. He was the ninth overall pick, who still has 5-star potential. That's just Liam Peterson and Max Bayless, who we acquired via trade. He was taken in round 9 of the first year player draft. So Colin Clark was taken in round 3. Torres UCL is out for 2 months. And Eric Becker, round 2 pick for us, is another top prospect. So we did quite well. Gunther Brandel was an 18 round pick. Tegan Kuhns is another name I remember seeing go high a lot in various drafts. He was supplemental round 1 pick 6. Yeah, I remember his name popping up in past sims for this draft class. Yeah, the other ones I would like to see who we actually drafted and who we considered drafting at those picks. I know, like, 2027 pick, our second round pick, we really debated on for a while and ended up choosing, I believe, where is he at? Chris Levinas. Yeah, Chris Levinas with that pick. And he's kind of been, I wouldn't say disappointing, but we would have hoped that he would have developed a bit more and been more big league ready, I think, by now. And instead has kind of just gotten stuck at double A. Various injuries have derailed him a bit. I know he had a bad dev lab session too. That didn't help. I think his ratings went down. Detrimentally completed training for control. Yeah. So, um, anyway, we'll go over those a bit more once we get to the draft. But yeah, I'd like to go over those, and I'd like to catch up a bit more with actually posting these videos so that people can engage with it and enjoy it, and then I can, respond more readily instead of, at this point, I need to post the 2027 off season, I believe, is the next one I have to post. And so yeah, it's hard sometimes to remember that far back when it's several weeks ago in real life now that I recorded it. So I'll try to make that more reasonable of a schedule so that I can actually engage more with the people that are watching and enjoying these videos. And thank you for watching and enjoying these videos. I appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully you're enjoying this White Sox season so far, as we are still first in the division. The next thing up will be the first year player draft, and I'll try to do a draft recap before that. Yeah, so stay tuned. All right, we have made it to the first year player draft. We're at 51 and 41, still 5 games up on the Tigers. Yeah, still with one of the best records in the league. The D-backs have the best record in the NL currently at 54 and 40, led by their pitching, I guess. Yeah, Corbin Burns doing well. Just a very solid all-around pitching staff, it looks like. Um, and then bats, let's see. Yeah, their top producer is Corbin Carroll with 2.2 WAR, so not exactly elite production from the bats, but solid. I did want to talk about the Angels currently with the best record in baseball at 55 and 38. And look who made his way over to the Angels. Brooks Baldwin, after we traded him to the Dodgers, was acquired by the Angels off of waivers and having a good season for them with 2.1 WAR on the season already. Playing a variety of positions for them, mainly center field, which is interesting. But yeah, definitely wish him the best. Again, except when he is facing us, and there's a very real chance that we'll have to face him in the playoffs. So we'll have to see. Kevin Alcantara also was on our team briefly. He was part of the Nolan Shanuel trade, so there's a lot of links between our teams there. We also acquired Ryan Johnson from the Angels, and I don't think any of those guys are on their team anymore. So definitely a trade that we won, I would say, given the season, especially given the season that he's having this year. But yeah, first year player draft. Let's get into that. I'll probably only do the first 5 rounds on camera today because I am a little bit pressed for time. But yeah, let's get into it here. As I guess the best thing to do. Yeah, all batters, all players. Juan Chavez is expected to go high. He was a player that looked interesting. I know there was a name, Sean Bender was a name that I'm hoping will drop to us. He had a lot of interest at the combine, so I doubt that he will at pick 31, I believe we are. 31, yeah. So I guess let's just see here. Let's get into the draft and auto draft until we get to us. And I do see Sean Bender taken with pick number 26. So he did make it pretty far, but not quite to us. Brady Harris. He was a name that, was expected to be high in the 2026 draft, ended up going back to school, going to college, now drafted again by the Yankees this year. So, sortable list. Okay, so some interesting players out here. If we filter to just the guys that are shortlisted, what are we looking at? Let's look at batters first. Jay Bastian is definitely a name that stands out here. He's got good defense, very solid all around player. Just turned 22. Sean McDonald looks good, has high work ethic and IQ, not great defense. Infield or outfield, he's probably more of a first baseman, in all honesty, with those ratings. But the bat is intriguing. John Davis, the 90 gap power is crazy. Everything else is just like, okay. He probably would be a third baseman, yeah, with that arm and that range. He also looks interesting. Eric Leary. I like his bat maybe the best out of all of these guys, despite the, I guess, subpar defense and high work ethic. But does that mean I like him the best out of all these guys? We'll see. We'll see. Pitching draft. Marcos De La Torre. I don't love the low control here. I do love the personality. Aaron Anderson. Again, low current control. He's got good potential control, but I worry that will hold him back. And he's still pretty young. Abdur Razad Jamshedipur. Okay. I half the reason I put this guy on my list was because of his name. It's an excellent name. And he's got an interesting set of ratings too, with super low stuff but super high movement and control. And this is a guy too that, like, if he develops some velocity, he becomes an absolute monster. But he's 17 and very raw as well. Marcos De La Torre, I believe we looked at. Ben Hollenbach, the most developed out of all these pitchers, but low-ish potential. And then Vincent Ray. We're not taking Vincent Ray. Okay, so let's clear the filter and make sure there's not any, like, good prospects that we are missing out on. Let's look at college players first. And it's mainly, Mike Woodward. I mean, he's interesting, but again, I don't love the super low work ethic. And then a bunch of 3-star guys. For bats, Bastian is in here. Tony Gomez. Yeah, he's the 3 true outcomes kind of guy. Kind of strike out a lot, hit a lot of home runs, and walk a lot. So, Eric Leary. Yeah, okay. So out of all these guys, I think Giddis Wilson. I don't love the low power. I do like the defense. I don't remember seeing that name in the draft combine. He's not going to be taken with 1, but if he's still there at 2, maybe we think about him. Jay Bastian is definitely an option. Eric Leary is definitely an option. And then I think let's go back to our short list guys. Was it Hollenbach? Yeah, I think I want to take a college guy here. There's several college guys who still have good potential. I know I've taken a batter the last 2 years, and both of them haven't really worked out, but again, I guess I gotta just stick with what I think is best here. Um, let's look between Bastion and Leary here. Because, okay, Bastion has better power and eye. Leary has better everything else. And slightly more current avoid Ks. And then I believe Bastion is the better defender as well. Yeah. Leary isn't an awful defender. He could play a decent third base. Would probably be a first baseman. Um, I think I kind of like Leary here. I might be talking myself into him, but let's see. Out of these two guys, who's most likely to still be there in the second round? That's a good question. Bastion was mocked at 23. Leary mocked at 25. So if we go purely by the mock, 25 in the second round. If we go purely by the mock, both of them will be gone by our next pick. I didn't look at injury proneness for either of them too. That's sometimes a good tiebreaker, but nothing doing there. It's very close between these two, honestly. Even taking the potential into account, like Bastion has less contact but more power, and Leary's got the high work ethic but less potential. I guess we can look and see. I hate to do this, but both demands are pretty low for this spot here. What's our slot? 4.4 million. Yeah, so both of them are under slot. That's not really a concern. Hollenbach. Hall and Oates. I always try to think of fun nicknames for guys. It's one of the best reasons to play in commissioner mode, I would say, is just editing in your own fun nicknames. What about John Davis? Even with the high gap power, the 90 gap power is insane. But yeah, I like the other two guys better, I think, even with that. That's crazy, though. Okay. I need to make a decision here. Bastion or Leary? I think we go Bastion and then maybe hope that Leary drops to us. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Um, Very close between those guys, though. Very close. And he does not. Okay. Where does he end up going? He goes way before our pick. Let's see. There's Leary. 137. Okay. Ah. Jamshedpur was drafted just a few picks before us. Um, are there any other pitchers left? Ben Hollenbach's still here at our second round pick. And so he might be the pick here. Tony Claros. What do the bats look like currently? Who picked pretty clean? John Walker. Any of these guys? Victor Tapia. Flaherty's kind of interesting, but still really raw. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with my second round pick for Hollenbach. Who looks pretty solid. Yeah, I think he's the pick here. All right, and now we are flying without a list, most likely. I think all of our shortlisted guys are probably gone by now. Yeah, okay, so. Batters. There's Tapia and Walker. Pitchers, what about starting pitchers? Do we go for a guy like Alvarado who has higher overall, or go for the higher potential? Do we even go with a pitcher? You know what? John Walker is still pretty raw, but he's got high work ethic and IQ. What's his draft demand? 700K. Not bad. Yeah, I don't mind taking a chance on him here. He probably is more of a third baseman. Um, Still really raw. But I don't love a lot of the, like, is there anyone? Jesus Casillas, Eric Chapman. Yeah, there's no one really like wowing me for this third round pick. So I think we'll just go with John Walker here, and hope that he develops. Our scout says Adam Evans. Adam Evans, okay. I mean, he is the highest potential pitcher remaining. I might like Argueta better, though. Gomez, Jimenez. Because he's got 80 stuff, but then only 40 movement and 35 control. And the odds that both of those develop into something usable, I think, is pretty low. So if we don't go with Evans, then we do go with Jimenez or Walker. Let's see, Jimenez, Walker. All three of these guys currently have 30 stuff. Harrigan. Harrigan is durable and a lefty. That might be enough to give him the tiebreaker here. Only 50 stamina, 4 pitches, but really more like 3 with the 35 potential splitter. But the durable is huge. Oh, but he's impossible to sign. Okay. Okay. So then it's between Gomez and Jimenez, unless we are under slot for both of our first 2 picks, but I still don't think I can afford to draft an impossible guy here in the third. Hmm. Um, let's go with. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna pivot here and go for Walker, actually, with the high work ethic. He's a lefty. He is not. He has 30 movement already. Fastball, changeup, sinker, high work ethic, high leader loyalty. Yeah, yeah, I can talk myself into him. And then Tapia's still here, but I don't love those type of guys, honestly. Only a handful of 3-star guys still out there too. Um, I know Casillas we looked at. Luke Kreider. Oh, the power sucks though. Are there any power guys that aren't that like archetype? Donovan Robinson, kind of. Kevin Myers. Ugh, man. Kevin Roberts Jr. He looks at least more well rounded. The 45 contact is a little concerning, but the defense is good. We're into the 5th round now. I mean, this is already like kind of, I don't want to say the dregs, but yeah, you know what? I like Roberts for some reason here. I just got a feeling about this guy. Despite only having 2.5-star potential, I think he's the pick here. All right, and that's the first 5 rounds on camera, and I have already spent way too much time on the draft, honestly. I was already pressed for time today, but yeah. I will show a full draft recap once I'm able to do the whole draft. And I'll do a past draft recap as well. So look forward to that shortly. Shortly for you, in several real life days for me. Yeah. All right, I am back several real life days later and finished the 2029 draft. Pretty happy with how it turned out. Got 2 3-star pitchers in the 7th round and 11th round in Natsis and Robbie King. So we'll have to keep an eye on those guys. I think everyone else was drafted on camera here. And then if we look at the rest of the draft here, let's sort by organization. It doesn't let me sort by organization for some reason. That's weird. Okay. But it does for batters. Okay. So batters, at least you can see, got quite a few guys here. Barry's the only one with 3-star or higher potential. Everyone else looks okay. And then let's see if we can do this. I don't know why it's not sorting by organization. Well, we can just go, let's see. Yeah, it's going to be, I think, too much of a pain to go through here and pick out my specific picks. I can show you who is currently in the minors, though. Let's see. Gaither was drafted. And then several guys that will start at the rookie league level. John Dopp. Was he? Yes, he was. John Dopp. Yeah, sorry I can't show the pictures right now, but I did want to show, as I talked about last time, just kind of going back through our past drafts very briefly. I'm just going to do the top like 2 picks because I think, yeah, it would be too much to go through like the top 5 of everything, but I did briefly go over 2026. That was, we took Liam Peterson, and don't really regret that pick. I think he still has the potential to become one of the best pitchers in the league, at least purely by potential. Yeah, and he's been doing very solid for us up at the big leagues this year. I would say solid, but not spectacular. So hopefully his numbers continue to improve. And then you've got guys like, Roach Cholowski and Jackson Flora. I think we talked about those guys last time. 2027, I have to go back and watch the video for both 27 and 28 just to kind of see where my mind was at the time. I know Bartolota was always going to be the pick for me, it seemed like. And he's obviously, been a little disappointing so far in terms of how much potential he's lost. I know I briefly discussed both Schroeder and Buckles at that pick as well. And both of those guys look like they will probably be better than Bartolota. Schroeder's crushing AAA and looking to be called up probably quite soon. And then Buckles is already up for the Royals with 3-star overall and 4.5-star potential, and his ratings look great. So, yeah, Buckles, in hindsight, would have been the pick there. But, I don't think anyone could blame you for taking Bartolota there. Interestingly, I know with the second round pick, there was a bit of debate in the comments about, what I should do there. I ended up taking Chris Levinas, who has, gotten another injury, by the way, and has just really been derailed by injuries and a bad dev lab session. His overall and potential are still not bad at the moment. At 23 years old, I'm not giving up on him yet. Hector Ramirez was the other guy I was strongly considering at that pick, and you can see like his potential has dropped quite a bit as well. Still I think too early to call which of those pitchers is going to end up being better. Ramirez has lower potential but is still younger, so he's got the chance of some positive TCR in there. We'll see. And the other guy I was considering at that pick was Obermeyer. who ended up falling to our third round pick, and we drafted him there. So you can see he's been doing okay. He's down to 2.5 star potential, I think down from 3.5 before. And that's just going to happen with a lot of guys you draft. They're going to lose potential. They're going to kind of get lost in the shuffle, I guess. But yeah, he still looks okay at 21 years old. Like, we'll see. We'll see if he ends up making a difference for us down the line. And then 2028's draft, we had a later pick. We ended up taking Ryan Sykes with the 17th pick. And, he's also kind of lost some potential as well, which is a little disappointing, but up to AAA and, yeah, still developing. Still the number 92 prospect by OSA, but I don't know if he will stay there. I know Kevin Durham was another name I thought about taking there. He was taking the pick after us. He's doing quite good at AA, still has quite a bit of potential, so we'll see if he lives up to that potential. And then Keeley was the other guy I heavily considered here, Mike Keeley, and he has dropped quite a bit in potential, but still looks decently solid overall, although the number he's putting up is at A ball at age 24, so I'd say take that with a grain of salt. And yeah, I don't know if he'll ever make it to the big leagues. Luke Mueller looks very solid. Never had a chance to draft him. Let's see, as we look at overall or potential, Alan Miller we couldn't have drafted. Donnelly is still really raw. Yeah, it's only been 1 year since this draft, so it's a little bit harder to tell. Like Nick Lautenschlager, we also didn't have the opportunity to draft, so and there's 3 guys with 2.5 star potential. Jim Lowry is another one who was taken in the second round, and yeah, for 23 years old, he looks pretty decent. I don't know who we took with our second round pick. Oh yeah, I was going to briefly discuss that. Malia we took with our second round pick, and he is still looking pretty solid. I would say at age 20, he's up to A+ ball and doing decently well. So definitely we'll keep an eye on his development, as he's had a few drops but a few improvements too. So that's kind of what you hope for, is that they just continue to develop. So yeah, that's where our draft record kind of stands at the moment. Kind of a mixed bag. I think Liam Peterson at pick 1 was a good pick. Bartolota, in hindsight, not a great pick. Sykes, I think it's still too early to tell. But looking like there were probably better picks available in hindsight. But yeah, it's I'll take the overall record for our first 2 rounds. And given what we've done in terms of trades and in terms of results, I would say that's encouraging as well. And we've got guys like, Becker and Bartolota are both currently up on the big league roster, so they're making a difference for us currently. Is that a positive difference? Time will tell. Becker's hitting with an OPS over 100. Bartolota's close to that, but struggling a little bit, as Nolan Shanuel is out with a day-to-day injury, which is why both of those guys are up. I think one of them will go back down once he's back from his injury. So, yeah, not too much else to report here. I don't know if we look to make another trade here. I think we will leave that till after the All-Star game, most likely. So let's go ahead and sim to the All Star game, and then I'll wrap up the episode and kind of see where we're at. I mean, obviously, we are going to be buyers at the deadline. I don't know if there's any prospects that I'm comfortable like shipping out in terms for a big name. Um, I did notice one of the big potential targets for us was Mason Wynn. He's out with post concussion syndrome for 8 months. I don't know if I highlighted that on camera or not, but that makes it so, yeah, I mean, there's no point in trading for him. He's going to be a free agent in 2029. Joey Ortiz, curiously, on the trading block, up to 3-star potential, having a really good season. But I don't think it's one of those things where he's on the trading block, but in real life, I don't think it would make sense to trade for him with the Reds just 1.5 games back and well in the hunt for a wild card spot as well. So they wouldn't likely look to trade him unless, I mean, they have some other need that we could fulfill. Like, I don't know, their bullpen is struggling. If we could give them a decent looking bullpen arm, maybe they would consider that for Ortiz, but probably not. I mean, they do have Ellie De La Cruz. Where has he been playing? He has been playing short for them. So, curiously, I probably would play Ortiz at short, and then he's been playing a mix of positions for them. Yeah, as we traded Ortiz to them for, what did we trade him for? All right, for Jay Allen and Leo Balcazar, which is looking like not a great trade in hindsight, but yeah. Also, Hayden Birdsong putting up decent numbers for them as well. Yeah, I mean, Ortiz, like, it was partially a money saving thing, but I feel like we could have definitely used him this season, and I think it was maybe a mistake to get rid of him. But Amador, in his stead, has been crushing it. I mean, just look at those numbers since getting traded to us. Over 1,000 OPS, OPS plus of 182, 1.3 WAR after negative point 0.3 the entire rest of the season before that. He's on pace for almost a 2 WAR season if he keeps this up, which again, he probably won't for the entire season, but and he is arbitration eligible. I think he just wasn't when I still had him technically not on the roster, but yeah, we have more than 1 year of control for Amador, which is a good thing too. As I want to look and see how many years of arbitration he's eligible for. He's got his full 3 years of arbitration still, so we could look to maybe extend him to buy out those arbitration years, given what he's done so far for us. Yeah, budget is something we'll have to definitely keep in mind. Although this season will actually be under budget because our draft expenses, I had budgeted 12 million, and I think our total offers only come out to like a little over 6, maybe 7. So we got about 5 million to spare there, which should help if we're looking to make some trades in terms of how much space we have available. Yeah, and still technically in the green projected this season. So yeah, we'll see how things go. Let's sim to the All-Star break, and I'll wrap up the episode here. All right, I thought we weren't making any trades, but we are ending the episode with a pretty big one here, I'd say. Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies. The Phillies are in a weird spot right now where they are tied for first in the NL East with an under 500 record, but I think, they could look to move him still. Yeah, they are retaining his salary for this year. There's a team option for next year, which is interesting too. So we potentially have 2 years of control for Christopher Sanchez. And we're giving up Blake Larson, who is a good looking prospect, but he is 23, um, putting up good numbers in AAA, but only 35 stamina, low work ethic, and his stats are not like amazing. I don't necessarily mind losing him. And then Dante Nori, who we actually got from Philly, along with Sean Youngerman back in 2027 for Brewstar Gratterall, will be going back to the Phillies. He's 24 years old and looks to be a decent, like, depth quad A type of outfielder, which we already have several of those guys. So overall, not giving up a ton to get Sanchez, and his stats this year have been really good. Almost ERA right around 3. He's extreme ground ball, so as long as we put a good defense behind him, I think he should perform well. His pitching stats, I did look at his FIP. His FIP looks good. It's 80 FIP minus for the season, 3.34. So, and he's a lefty. Our starting pitching has been, I think, the Achilles heel of this team so far. And we addressed batting with Amador. Yeah, I think this trade makes sense. So I'll have to rearrange the roster here to make room for Sanchez. But yeah, he will slot into our rotation probably in the 1 spot, maybe in the 2 after Dolander, who's also having a good season. Yeah, and that is our big move as we head into the All-Star break. Still in first place, still 5 games up on the Royals, but I want to make sure that we don't fall behind some of these other teams. The Yankees are keeping pace with us for the second best record in the AL. We'd love to get that first round bye. Still a few games back behind the Angels. And of course, we want to keep pace ahead of these teams that are kind of hovering around 500. And if they get hot, they could maybe make a push for the division here. So that's not out of the realm of possibility, I would say. Yeah, and the All-Star game, we are looking at a few of our players getting All-Star bids. As we go through here, no starting pitching, but 2 relievers. Kristen Fouch, our Rule 5 guy, actually got an All-Star bid, which is surprising considering he's been a long reliever this whole year. But, I mean, he does have an ERA under 3 and has been good throughout the season, so sure, why not? And then Grant Taylor also has an ERA under 3, also having a good season as a reliever. So, yeah, both of those guys, I'm happy for them. I know we had guys that were kind of hovering around in the voting here. The only one position player that ends up making it in is Chase DeLauder, who absolutely deserved to make it in. Would have been a crime if he didn't, with 3.8 WAR in the first half of the season. Yeah, and on pace for a 6 WAR season, 6.5 WAR season. And that's it for our All-Star bids, but the team as a whole doing quite well. I talked about our pitching already, but shout out to Ryan Johnson for coming in as initially kind of a spot starter and essentially locking down a role in the rotation this year, with a sub-4 ERA, very solid performance. Chase Dolander has been great this season as well. Less WAR, but ERA has been good. WHIP looks good. Bullpen and just the entire bullpen has been great. Jose Ferrer creeped just over 3 for his ERA. Hagen Smith at 3.5. Everyone else under 3. Raisel Iglesias is under 2. Yeah, I think that's about as good as you can hope for your bullpen. Yeah, and we are first in bullpen ERA with just a 2.46 for our entire bullpen. The rest of our rotation, yeah, Liam Peterson, again, we're giving a little bit more of a leash to hope that he continues to improve, which he has been so far this season. I think his ERA was over 5 at one point and has gone down to 4.3. So if we look at his pitching splits, we want basic pitching stats, yeah. You can see, yeah, April, good May, and then pretty meh June and good July so far. So hopefully he keeps up these July numbers as we keep going through the month. And then Shane Smith and Noah Schultz, a little disappointing, but Shane Smith still putting up good numbers. Definitely not as good as the numbers he put up last year. And then Noah Schultz will probably be the guy that gets bumped out of this rotation to make room for Sanchez. But he will stick around as a long reliever. I think we probably send Hagen Smith back down because he has options. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I look to probably make too many other moves for our pitching staff. Our bats have been solid, but not spectacular, I would say. Yeah, and we're third in batting WAR. We're top 3 in like most of the major categories. So like, we could be set with bats. If there's a good trade out there, I might look to make it. Like, I poked around at Seiya Suzuki, who's having a good season. I think he'd be an upgrade for Marte, but he was going to veto any trade, I believe. We could hope that some of these other guys like Becker and Bartolota continue to kind of improve, maybe. We get Shanuel back from injury too. That will help as he's put up 2.4 WAR this season. So, and then Nick Fortes is close to coming back after starting the season decently well. Although he may have lost his backup catcher job to Luis Torrens. We'll have to see. So some interesting moves potentially still to make here. I didn't even talk about the guys at AAA like Adrian Herrera, who's put up great numbers so far and could maybe deserve a slot in this rotation over someone like Shane Smith. Definitely, if there's injuries, he would be a guy that we'd maybe look to call up. Billy Carlson putting up good numbers at AAA, but struggled at the big league level this season, so I don't really know what to do with him. Celestin putting up good numbers at AAA, was starting to put things together at the big league level. Already over 2 WAR for the season in AAA. I think we probably just look to get him more experience at positions and look to make him like a utility guy that could maybe help us in a potential playoff push. I think that's the move for Celestin. Yeah, that's, I think, going to be it for this episode. We did make a big splash here. Might make the actual trade deadline a little bit boring, but I think that is a move that I wanted to make, and it is a good one for us. Yeah, getting some starting pitching help in there and just trying to improve our team however possible, shore up any weaknesses as we make another push for the playoffs and ideally the World Series. As we, have the second best record, tied for the second best record in the AL. Only the Rockies actually making a big push in the NL West and passing the D-backs, which is interesting. Yeah, but we would be one of the teams that would definitely be in contention for a World Series this year. So anyway, thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you next time as we finish out the 2029 season. Take care.